Hello everyone, episode 30 with Buffalo Bills is here. A little bit of provocation with the red. Maybe Bills Mafia. I hope you won't hate me for that. What is there to say for the Bills? I mean, the picture just says it all, doesn't it? So freaking close. Yet again. And yet again against you know who. I will try to name his name because, well, frankly, you are kind of the reason why they have him. So, Bills, it's on you. And it kind of has to be on you once again because Xavier Orty, a guy that, again, they've traded with you to get in the draft, had one of his best games in the round against the Bills. So, just so freaking close. I'm so sorry, Bills. I was rooting for you. I just hate to see Josh Allen heartbroken yet again after playing super well. This close again. Well, let's find out how did that happen, where does it leave the Bills, and what is there going forward. So, they started the draft by trading down a couple of times in a couple of spots to secure the first pick of the second round and get Keon Coleman. I was not a huge fan of. I would say I didn't hate the process. I hate the process with the Chiefs. Just for the history, I know you should be rational about it, but I just wouldn't trade pick with the Chiefs, especially when it's clear they want to get their guy, their wide receiver. I mean, I just wouldn't do it. But okay, that's a small part of it. Bigger part of this was not super huge fan of trading down out of the first round because then you don't have a fifth year option, which to me is actually kind of valuable, especially if you are drafting a position that potentially pays in high 30s or, as we learned in this offseason, even 40s. It's to me, the compensation you get is just not enough for that. And with Coleman, I didn't necessarily feel like he's the missing piece for this offense. I feel like he's kind of not necessarily completing them. Good piece, not exceptional one. I was not unhappy about this draft. I was slightly lower. Needless to say, I would say, proved me wrong. He was. I would still call this pick B. I feel like still for wide receivers, the transition is probably one of the easiest in terms of any positions in the league. So, him transcending to good starter is good. It's not exceptional. We've seen higher rises, even guys post him like Vlad McConkey and obviously Brand Thomas, or even the guys really in front of the back. So it was a really solid season, a really good pick, but nothing sensational, I would say. So right now it would probably be a big plus. I would still be a little bit of cautious not giving this guy, because especially if he hits his upside, you want a 50 option on him. So with the draft process, I would be slowly, still not super happy. He's not the quickest guys, and that's why I mentioned he's not necessarily completing this room, because you had a lot of middle targets, not necessarily deep ones. But what kind of made this pick better than I expected was how they were able to utilize the middle of the field, the short passes, and kind of transition from Josh Allen and his game in terms of he had obviously he's a rocket arm, he can punish you with deep balls, but this year the amount that he was able to target the midfield and even short passes super well, and they had so many guys to collect those targets. Yeah, I did not see that Josh Allen to emerge as this type of guy. So with that, Kieran Coleman really fit what they wanted to do, and year one, really good pick for them. Then they went for Cole Bishop in kind of the trying to get younger and cheaper on the back side of the defense. Obviously letting guys like Tre'Davious White go. Who else left? Jesus. I'm sometimes bad. Micah Hyde obviously left, and there was someone else. Jordan Poyer, yeah. I'm sorry, guys. Sometimes just names, I'm definitely not good with names. Like you ask my colleagues, you ask my friends. I mean, I do know shit ton of about their life and about the things that to me are important, but sometimes the name just misses, and it's harder for like the whole database of NFL players. So they wanted to get young, they wanted to get cheaper out there. They kind of needed to as well with the budget and cap salary. And for Cole Bishop, I like this pick. I really feel like, yeah, I like this direction. I like him as a really good safety prospect. And year one was actually quietly very disappointing to me. And it's like not necessarily that he sucked. Like he was definitely worse than I expected him. But the fact that he just didn't necessarily become a starter. And when you look at the competition and Tyler Rapp, Damar Hamlin, I mean, Kyle Elam was playing there. It's like, Damar Hamlin, great story. I'm super happy that he carved himself up a role, but like, is he a guy that should be starting against the second round pick? Not usually. And the fact that he is says, I would say, much more about Cole Bishop and lack of development year one rather than about Damar Hamlin ascending to really great starting safety. Like, again, with what he's been able to overcome, I'm super happy to see him playing, and it's like great that he can be out there. Super happy. But it's like, in terms of when you rank him strictly as how good of a player he is, he should be a backup safety, not a starter, in my opinion. So the fact that Cole was not able to play him is kind of worrying for me. So year one. But with Cole, the saving grace is like he's quite young. He's not going to be 23 until like start of the season. So there is still definitely time for him to develop. In terms of Devine Carter, so with him, you need to understand that Bills did struggle with the interior of the defensive line in the last couple of seasons. Sometimes, they just were unable to stop the run. So investing into this position kind of makes sense. But this was a guy that, I had in a sixth round. I don't think I was alone in that. So I do understand the need, and you try to think for it, and you are taking a guy that was a captain for his team, and the maturity should be there, and he was, I believe, he was an older prospect, so you kind of want to raise the floor, which I do not necessarily disagree with approach, invest in raising the floor, but I do disagree with that in third round of this type of draft. So again, I would like Devine Carter, if you go for him as a fifth round option, slightly overdrafting him, but you are actually he's there for the position of need, and you are actually going for an older prospect who you don't necessarily expect to ascend towards a starter, but you could have a really good rotational piece for 4 years on cheap. Yeah, I like that. I don't like that as a third rounder. So even though it's a late third round, felt it was a huge reach, and unfortunately, year one, he was kind of the rotational piece, but he did not really even played like a good backup. So he was really close for me to even lowering him down, and that's quite worrying for the guy that the selling point on him should be he should be a guy that gives you good snaps from the start. You don't necessarily expect him to ascend to oblivion, but should be good from the start, and he just wasn't. So kind of a problem for them. Ray Davis, like this pick, and he definitely looked the part, exactly what you needed, because you have Ty Johnson, who I believe Josh Allen called the best third down back in football, and you have James Cook, really ascending one of the best running backs in the league, but neither of them are hugely built, to put it lightly, or they are more put lightly. So you need a guy that's going to just be muscles, the guy that's going to really, get for it, go for it, and he can add muscle players. Obviously, when you have Josh Allen, you can kind of say, well, we have Josh Allen for this type of situations. Well, sometimes you don't want Josh Allen running against 300-pound guys and trying to get 1 yard. Sometimes you need another guy to take this step, and Ray Davis was doing that very, very well. he showed a nice hands too, and he was a very solid weapon, kind of completing this running back room for the Bills. So real nice pick for them. Cedric Van Pran, I thought like with some of the departures, like Mitch Morse, for example, for this online, that he might be able to carve himself a nice role. He is a guy that I project that he can play as a center or as a guard. So really nice pickup in my opinion. He did not overplay Connor McGovern, which is like, okay, you can live with that for a 5th rounder. He's a solid backup for now, and perhaps, in the future when you want to get cheaper, he might be option even to be something more than that. At F1, Ulofoshio, Javon Solomon. I mean, Javon gave you some snaps actually. It was 141, so it didn't crack my 250, and neither I had like strong opinion on him. So like with Cedric, I had strong opinion. So I wanted to like show how he did. With Javon, like he did solidly on those snaps. He was like really solid. I would say like solid run defender, but he showed even something in terms of pass rush. Obviously, like his snaps came mostly in that week 18, in which like Buffalo didn't really play for much. So that's where it comes from. He was solid, and not enough to like up his grade, but really definitely something that perhaps there is a chance for him to carve a role as a rotational piece in the future. If he continues to develop. Hello, my cat. Would you be so kind and move on? Thank you. So, with other guys, Tyler Grable, Daquan Hardy, Travis Clayton, not necessarily much to speak of after year 1. So overall, when you look at this draft, they needed to hit bigger when like there was a lot of guys to be replaced, and the fact that they didn't and they still managed to get to the conference championship really says a lot about kind of the rest of the roster. So not necessarily a draft that I was stoked about in the beginning, not even now. Like I don't think that year 1 was necessarily great. They got something out of it, like Keon Coleman, Ray Davis, Cole Bishop, so and so, but really not a franchise-changing draft whatsoever after year 1. So with that being said, let's take a look at how the rest of the roster actually performed in their season. And we start with an MVP, Josh Allen. Finally, you can say it. Just with Lamar, I've said it, like I really feel like they should have been co-MVPs. Both their seasons were just exceptional, and with both of them, they were already my top 4 QBs entering the season, but both of them played, in my opinion, their best football, and you see them improving in stuff that you did not necessarily expect, like with Lamar being much more accurate, like really able to hurt you from the pocket, like with his arm, like on consistent basis. That's evolution that I did not necessarily like was certain that's going to come. And with Josh Allen, the precision to dissect the defense, to really pick apart defense, doesn't matter if it's 5 yards. And the kind of shift of mentality, like I don't need to be a hero. Like if we can score a touchdown, it doesn't matter if it's from 80-yard bomb or 12 passes of 6 yards. Like it doesn't freaking matter. Like both of that get us a win. And like perhaps the second part even like is more valuable because it gets our defense chance to rest. So really, when I was looking at the roster of the Bills, I was like, who is going to get over the top of the defenses? Who is going to stretch the field for Josh Allen? Because that was kind of his like trademark. Like his deep balls were exceptional. Like beside his running the ball. It shows like he can still do it, but it's not like you are dependent on it by any stretch of imagination. And that's insane. Then obviously the fact that he just brings so much towards running game, whether it's through his power rounds, whether it's just needing to account for him. I don't know, he just creates a mismatch just by being out there. And he absolutely, with not really trying to be a hero every single play. It's not like that he was trying to do that, but like he knew that he doesn't have to be, or like we can win game and you might not look super great like from a normal fan perspective. You won't have this huge touchdown, those heart-stopping moments, but you will be immensely effective and we will win because of you, with you, because of you. Depends. That was really, really fascinating, and what it meant even for him, like the amount of turnovers that was always a knock on Josh Allen was really, really limited, just 6 interceptions. So absolutely deserved to win an MVP. I think that you can say the same thing about Lamar Jackson. And like when you are hating your life at AFC because you have to go against these 4 guys, I mean, you might look at Patrick Mahomes, it's like, okay, it was not necessarily the best version of Mahomes. And then you look on years that Burrow, Lamar, and Josh Allen had, and you're like, you know what. So that's just, it's just so hard to go against Josh Allen. And I just wish this guy success in terms of a ring, because like it must suck so much. Like you are beating Chiefs, again, they've beat them in regular season. It was Josh Allen that just, decided the game, put the final nail in the coffin in the game. And then the playoff comes and, perhaps wrong measurement on that 3rd down, that not able to get it on the 4th down, like super, super close. And then still you had a chance, and he makes a hero throw, after like kind of really not picking out the blitz the way he should. But Dalton Kincaid is unable to make a play. It's not like the same with Lamar and Mark Andrews. Yeah, that was much more easier, but you could expect Dalton Kincaid to come up with that ball. But he didn't. And Buffalo once again fall towards the Chiefs. Once again, Worthy had a great game, so a guy that you kind of gave them in the draft process. So it must suck. It must really suck. With Mitch Trubisky, really not much being said. To me, he is not a future Sam Darnold type of a story. I think he should carve himself up as a good backup for several years. Like there is something there, but I don't think there is a high-end something for him to reach upon. Let's shift towards this running game, and like I said, this is probably not the best running back room in the league, but I would say this is the most complete one. In terms of, they have 3 guys that, they kind of, like James Cook can do it all. Like he can do it with his hands, he can do it with his speed, and as you have to say to him, like he just got much better even like in harder yardage situation. But he doesn't need to do that, because you have Josh Allen and you have Ray Davis for the situation. But if you need to, he can do it. And then you have Ty Johnson, who can take away from James Cook some of the 3rd down snaps, because he's really exceptional in them. He's really good pass protection and good chemistry with Josh Allen. So you kind of have these 2 guys that you want to build on James Cook, who had exceptional year, like over 20 touchdowns, 1,500 yards, really great. And he's kind of allowed to have such a great production and such a like good level of energy, because he doesn't have to play over 50% of the snaps in the game, because you have guys to supplement the roles of James Cook, because for each situation you can get him out of the field and get like 80% of his quality out there with these guys on those specific roles. Neither of them, I would say, is a 3 down back. James Cook is. But that's why this room is just so fun, so complete. Really super happy about the Ray Davis. And for James Cook, I feel like he's been like undervalued, undersold, even in terms of how good he really is. I had him as an amazing starter last year, and when I was like looking around how other people talk about James Cook, it felt like they don't feel as highly about James Cook, and I'm like, dude, watch the tape. Like I really feel like he's special. Obviously, when you have Josh Allen, and that can create a mismatch, but I really feel like James Cook is a huge part of the running game, and I think he will ascend to elite level. He just dropped on it. Like it's not like, do I take Bijan? Do I take Saquon? Do I take Derrick Henry? Yes. do I take Josh Jacobs? Yes, I do take these guys over James Cook, but he deserves, in my eyes, to be on that level, and he's definitely one of the top 7 to 8 running backs in the league, something like that. With that being said, let's move towards wide receivers. So this room kind of got increasingly better, but not because of the addition of Amari Cooper. He's one guy that when they traded for him with the Browns, like he was still good, but nowhere near the form he had, especially last year with the Browns, where he looked amazing. He looked like number one on half of the team in the league. This year, his form from Cleveland kind of transcended towards the Buffalo. Like it was better, but it was still not very good compared to his standards. So that's why he fell towards just an important starter. And he is a free agent after the season. And I really wonder whether Buffalo is going to have an interest in him, because their guys that they've invested to draft, Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman, really took a step forward. Khalil Shakir really starts to emerging as one of the best number twos if you have him. And again, like in this system, you don't necessarily need Stephon Diggs. You don't necessarily need that's why they kind of let Stephon Diggs go, because they are much more about spreading the targets rather than feasting with one guy. They want to run the ball and then want to their ideal offense, not ideal, but they absolutely want to live in 15 plays offense. Run, quick pass, quick short pass, 15 yards, you don't expect that, and we're going to beat you. And Khalil Shakir is absolutely perfect for that, because this guy doesn't freaking drop football. He catches over 80% of the targets, which is an insane number. It's one of the best, if not the best in the league. And for what they need of him, for what they need for that number one in their style of offense, Khalil Shakir is definitely very solid and very good piece for that. Because you don't see him arguing on the sideline, demanding more catches. He knows his role. He's getting better and better every year, and they rewarded him. They already paid him just a sneak peek into free agency. 4 years, 53 millions. That's a freaking bargain, if you ask me. You get this guy under 15 millions a year. Ooh, that's very, very sweet deal. Keon Coleman, we already talked about him. Very solid year for him as a draft pick this season. Again, similarly we talk about the Baltimore offense. You don't necessarily need those Jamar Chases of the world, because you are you are not winning because you have 2,000 yards receiver. That's not necessarily how you want to distribute the ball, and it's absolutely okay. Why they traded for Amari Cooper then, you might ask? Well, first, he was relatively very cheap. Second, if you have a guy that can draw attention, I'm not saying if you are Bills and Jamar Chase can be on your table, yes, you take Jamar Chase, because obviously if you have a guy that requires double team every single play, which neither Shakir nor Coleman do, you are even more effective. Imagine how do you try to stop that? But obviously you have limited budgets, how you can get guys in, so you really need to think smart. And I believe that Buffalo just really work their offense towards kind of the best version that it can be within the reasonable budget that they have for it. So really great job in my eyes for them. I was really happy for my guy, Mike Hollins. One of the hardest playing wide receivers out there, one of the best blocking wide receivers in the league. Again, when they picked him, it's what I absolutely love about general manager job, and when you can celebrate guys like Mike Hollins, because again, he was not making headlines unlike Curtis Samuel, whom they in my eyes overpaid. I don't necessarily feel like he was a guy you needed, but with Mike Hollins it was a 1 year cheap contract. You just bring a guy that never is going to complain. He's going to be your number 3 or number 4. He's going to block his ass off. He will improve your running game. tremendously because he can do it even from wide receiver standpoint of view. And then like you can make so many fun stuff with him, like the same with guys that are exceptional blockers as tight ends. And because if the defense like kind of thinks about you only in terms of blocking, you can design some creative things. And you can see like they used McCollins a lot, even in terms of receiving game. So really happy for him to have success like this. I really like the signing for what he is. I didn't necessarily thought that like it matches super well with Josh Allen's skill set, but that's where Josh Allen like totally like not shocked me. Like I know he's an exceptional player, but the precision to pick apart defenses like that, especially in terms of like short passes, I did not see this level of the game to be there. So really great how that worked out for McCollins and for the Bills. Well, now towards kind of bad, because Dalton Kincaid in his second year, I mean, he wasn't bad. I wouldn't say that, but when you talk about like monsters within the line of scrimmage and like next 10 yards, and you invest the first round into a tight end position, you should be talking about that guy. Like, look at Brock Bowers, right? And Dalton Kincaid, even in his second year, where the offense should suit him, like totally suit him, he didn't shine. And like we said, like this offense is not necessarily about one guy shining. So why am I like banging on the table for him that he didn't shine? Like, yes, it's not. Still, there should be guys that are like more brighter, more used, and Dalton just wasn't. Like he was good, and that's it. He was good. And for a first round tight end that you've drafted after paying Dawson Knox, whom we will talk sooner, it's like, that's kind of disappointing in my eyes. So I'm not saying he flopped this year. I'm saying he didn't make a progress that I expected of Dalton Kincaid. Now let's shift towards Dawson Knox. And this is becoming one of the worst contracts in the football, quite frankly. Like they have him on the hook for next 2 years on $15 and $17 million cap hit. They couldn't get rid of him this year because they would save like $5 million or $8 million out of these 2 years. So he is on the chopping block for next year when they can save $10 million. So they could have saved 10. And this like it's like what, $13 million a year type of tight end. That's not Dawson Knox. And like he had played solid. Like he would be a good starter if we made this series like 2 years ago, and probably a guy that you expect to ascend. And then they like drafted Dalton Kincaid, and his reaction is like, I got my money, and that's kind of it. Like I don't see him fighting out there. I don't see him really, like he just, like I don't want to say like he's given up, because like he still is playable tight end too. Like he's still a good tight end too. Like I'm not going to say that he's not. But it's like I don't see Dawson Knox from 2022 out there anymore. Like I see kind of a shell of himself, and it's a disappointing. Like he probably was never a guy with like a super high ceiling, but being important starter, I think was in the stars for him. That's why he got paid what he got paid, and like right now he is an expensive, very expensive tight end too. That they can use him. He's still a solid piece of this offense, but like eighth most important, and I'm not even talking about offensive line. So like it's Kincaid, it's Coleman, it's Shakir, it's Ty Johnson, it's James Cook, it's Josh Allen, and I would say even Mike Hollins, and probably even Ty Johnson. Or Ray Davis. Like it's probably like 9 piece or 8 or 9 piece in terms of how effective was this offense, and we are not even talking about offensive line, how much he added to it. And that's like really disappointing for a guy that you are on a payroll to pay $13 million on average. But sometimes that happens. A guy doesn't make a step forwards, he makes step backwards, and he doesn't react well to you trying to replace him. So it might be a little bit on Bills as well. Now let's talk about this offensive line, because I would say similarly to Washington line, this was not necessarily a line that you would like rave about. It was, I would say, like better O-line that Washington have, but still an under average O-line in terms of like preseason rankings. And they've managed to deliver not exceptional. Like once again, they were not they were not Eagles O-line, they were not Detroit O-line, but they were absolutely solid and functional unit. And it starts with the progress that Spencer Brown was able to make. The fact that he's going to be good run blocker, it was always the case. Like he's huge. that's kind of the selling point on him. But he was struggling in terms of pass protection. Like even this year, like 17 penalties. It's not like he totally cleaned it up. But you have to remember that he played 3 games more than your usual suspects. So it's like 14 penalties. It's still a lot, but it's definitely much better than it was in years prior in terms of how his pass pro developed. So from a guy that you could ask that he's going to be one of the better run blocking tackles in the league, now he is very well rounded in both phases. Still better run blocker than pass protector, but very, very good in both phases. And I would say around that top 10, top 8 for right tackles in the league. And that was not a certainty entering this year, because like when you look at his progressive, like first year solid, then he had kind of the second year slump, and then he was great in the third year, and they decided to pay him after that, not waiting for his fourth year. They were really confident in him, and he delivered. So right now he's on the hook for another, like I believe, 4 years. Let me recheck on that. And for what was potentially like risky deal, right now it could be, if he makes yet another progression, that would be a bargain. If he continues to be as good as he was this year, he can ascend, I would say, to top 5 or right tackles, and it still will be a value because he's on average paid 18 million a year, which for one of the potentially best right tackles could be very, very nice deal. On the other side, Deion Dawkins, that was much less of a question mark. Like I will say he's like 16th best left tackle in the league. Backhanded compliment, not really, like just too many great left tackles in the league. And Deion Dawkins is just one of them. Really good player, a steady guy that they have protecting Josh Allen left side, I would say forever. Yep, he's a long time Bill, so they are used to each other. He still delivers, and he is a nice veteran to lead this O-line. In terms of interior, obviously there were much more of question marks. Like yes, Spencer was a question mark, but you could hope that his talent will ascend. With this trio, there was much less of hope. Like you expect Osiris Torrance to continue developing, and I don't want to say you would be disappointed with his second year, but well, you are a little bit. Like he was kind of solid and just makes to be a decent starter in my eyes. I don't really feel like I feel better about him after this year than I felt after last season. And he's cheap for next 2 years because he was drafted just 2 years ago. But as you look at this O-line, he's probably their weakest link, because David Edwards, veteran signing that had his years when he started. I believe it was with the Rams, if I'm not hugely mistaken. Let me recheck on that. Yeah, it was with the Rams. And as a 5th rounder, he kind of actually got into the lineup and was solid for the make-plays offense. And then for 2 years, he was just kind of dealing with injuries and really kind of fall off the map, or of the NFL map, just to be brought here for a very cheap contract. I think it was like 2 years, 8 million, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, even 6 million. So really a contract that would suggest that you are backup guard, at best, like even probably not even like the first guy in, and he is actually a starter and a solid one. Like again, just as we talked with the Commanders, like he is a guy that if you find a replacement that is better, great. But boy oh boy, you are not unhappy about paying him on average 3 million to be your starting guard, because like for that he's just absolute freaking bargain. And definitely one of the reasons why they were able to put up such an impressive season, because before the season, let's face it, like Buffalo was not out there with the huge favorites. Like they were thought to be in rebuild. They got rid of Trey Davis White, Micah Hyde, and Jordan Poyer. Stephon Diggs was traded, so it was for like, yeah, probably with Josh Allen they can still make a playoff, but Jets should be this super top team. Miami somehow, people would believe that would be super great. I wouldn't. I was much lower in Miami, but that's okay. So it was like, yeah, we are not sure about the Bills, and signing like David Edwards, signing like Mike Hollins, like, and obviously David Edwards was much more impactful than even Mike Hollins, really are in the shadows of like great season from Josh Allen, great season from James Cook, etc. But it's made possible by these, you can really say little guys when you think about David Edwards. Okay, right. Connor McGovern, said it several times, just a very solid center that you don't need to pay too much. Like he's 2 years, 15 million, something like that. 3 years, 22. So yeah, pretty much 7.5 a year. Just really solid presence, good in both phases, and you pay him and you don't have to worry. You do expect to have Creed Humphrey or Frank Ragnow? No, but there is a shortage of really exceptional centers in the league. So this was your Bills offense. Really, like great unit. A lot of players stepping up, finding, or maybe not necessarily like stepping up within themselves, like uncovering that they have this ability to do something that we did not expect. I mean, yeah, I guess with Josh there was something about the precision in terms of his short game, and with Spencer Brown, like better pass protection. But other than that, I don't think like any one of these guys necessarily unlocked super abilities. It's just like they have been put into really right places and they've played within that towards their best abilities. So huge kudos to Joe Brady as well. And I was kind of shocked that he was not snatched by someone. Like it might be that he didn't want to leave, or that because like he has obviously chance for Super Bowl here, or because they could have some talk in the behind. Well, we don't want to lose yet another great offensive coordinator, Sean McDermott. Can we somehow figure it out that he gets promoted, you get demoted to defensive coordinator? It's probably never going to happen. But perhaps there are some talks within the Bills organization. If Sean McDermott cannot deliver a Super Bowl next season, perhaps Joe Brady, we want you as a head coach. So I don't think there is like zero chance that there has been talks like that. Or perhaps he just was not offered one of the top jobs in the cycle and he was not going to leave this situation for example, Saints. Like I wouldn't either. Let's be fair. Like I wouldn't want to go towards Saints. Like I would love to go there as a general manager, and you would hate me, Saints fans, probably for first 2 years, because I'm not sure I would survive in the job. Like I would get fired, or I hopefully just fired, because I would really say like, yeah, we are going to suck. But okay, enough with that. Let's focus on the Bills defense, which once again, yeah, we already talked about some of these guys. So yeah, let's focus on the Bills defense. And like once again, that's where even like the Joe Brady talks kind of do have merit, at least in my opinion, because like Sean McDermott's defense is like, I will never say that Sean McDermott is not doing a great job with his defense, but when it matters the most, like I don't think he delivers as good of performance that you've expected. Like Chiefs put up over 30 points on them. Like Buffalo against Ravens, they were in the lead, and Baltimore was super close to actually get back into that game. So, I don't think this is necessarily exceptional unit. Like, he's getting out of them more that they talented-wise should have. Is it elite enough that, he should be your head coach for another couple of seasons unless he gets to the Super Bowl at least? Well, we will see about that in the future. But now let's start and talk about the players. We will start with Greg Rousseau, who to me, rightfully so, ascended one level, one tier for me, because he was, I would say, by far the best player on this defensive line, and really continue where he kind of left last season, especially in the end, where he was really a nuisance. And for some part of the season, especially when Von Miller was suspended, he was kind of this one-man wrecking crew from the edge that needed to deliver day in, day out, game in, game out, and he did good. Like, he's great in both phases, and I think he definitely deserves to be called number one. Is he elite yet? No. I think he can get to that level. Like, he is still very young, given the fact that he played 4 years in the league, and I think we are looking at a potential superstar in the league. Then go to Von Miller, where grading Von Miller was kind of hard, because unlike last year, this year he was actually like really, really productive as a pass rusher. And it was kind of clear that they are kind of saving him for the big moments, for pass rushing downs. And it's like, how do you then grade this player when you really, like, there is this massive legacy of him, you know what kind of player he was, and you see shades of that, but then he gets suspended of the field issues, and as well, like, you just cannot, like, with his body, it just doesn't feel like they will be able to get a third down of him, even in games when it, like, super matters. So it was, like, hard to put a grade on him. Like, usually for guys that are there for just one part of the job, and at least, like, for that part for the whole games, like, that it's harder to rank these guys. So at the end of the day, I went for a good starter, which is like, where I probably see him if he was forced to play 3 downs. I think that's probably where he would be in terms of situational pass rusher. I would say he's still, like, amazing. Like, his pass rush win rate, like, his ability to get to a QB on limited snap size, that's something you have to say. Like, he didn't play 500 snaps, and it's been a while since he played a significant amount of snaps, which again makes this much harder. But, like, based on those snaps, probably an amazing starter. Based on the rest, yeah, it just came out as a good starter. In terms of AJ Epinesa, kind of disappointing here. Really just balancing on the edge of even, like, keeping a decent starter in my eyes. After last year, he kind of breaks out, deserved the contract or got a contract, and this year he just did not follow on that. And especially when you compare him to Greg Rousseau on the other side, like, if I'm an offensive line coach or even offensive coordinator, I'm just kind of focusing every bit of attention towards Epinesa and try to isolate Rousseau, because I can handle No, I mean, I cannot, but I feel like both my tackles should be handling Epinesa one-on-one with kind of an ease. Now let's move towards interior, where the second best part of this defensive line is Ed Oliver. Really solid player, really one of the best pass rushing interior defensive linemen. For how often they, like, want him to go for a QB, he didn't necessarily have a production this season, which yet again, that's where, like, when you just look at sacks, they are deceptive, because he was really making a lot of noise in the backfield, going for a QB, forcing bad throws, forcing quick throws, hitting, delivering the pressure. He just didn't deliver sacks. So he was still really freaking good, and they needed him to be. Is he necessarily top 10 guy in his position and guy that would be, like, super like rewarding top 10 pick, which he was back in his days? I would say, like, it's 90% of what you would expect, but still really good player. You need to kind of like build around him in terms of like he's not great in terms of run defense, so you need some bodies next to him. That's where Daquan Jones was trying to be an answer, but he didn't really have a good year, and like he's kind of after like really good 22 and unfortunately short in 23, kind of coming back to earth in terms of his performance, where like he had this resurgence in his 30s where he suddenly looked like, well, this could be like really insane. Like interior duo with Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones. With Ed Oliver, he doesn't really continue to ascend towards amazingness or eliteness. With Daquan, he just kind of reverts back towards being decent to good starter. In terms of some of the guys that were able to play as rotational pieces, I don't really have too much to say about them. Like they were kind of adequate. We already talked about Dwayne Carter. Actually not being that, but with Smoot and Jefferson, they were solid. Nothing more to say about them. And now perhaps another controversial part, because in terms of linebackers, I really feel like Bills are good in terms of developing linebackers. Yet when I'm actually looking at how this group or how they play as individuals, I was underwhelmed in 2024. And with Matt Milano, I'm not like super panicking because like he was injured for most of the season, and when he came back, it really felt like he kind of shouldn't have. It's like it felt rushed. It's just like, we can do it this season. I want to be out there. I want to help as much as I can. He was necessarily not able to do so, especially in terms of like if a guy caught the ball or like rusher went into the second level, he was not necessarily able to bring them down. Like he was still solid player. Like if this is who he was, he would not have an important starter. But I don't want to like go lower on him because I really feel like you could see him playing hurt. The same where I'm like nearly lower, like for example Max Crosby this season. But where the controversial find might start is with Terrell Bernard, because I hear Sean McDermott talk about him being like heart and brain of this defense sometimes, and I just don't see it on the tape. Like perhaps they put too much on his plate, and that's why he cannot cover grass in a way. But yeah, I really see like, yeah, can he be a decent starter? Like, yeah, he's really close to that. The same with Dorian Williams. But am I seeing like a great linebacker? I don't. I'm sorry. Like, and again, like when it's not about the grades. Like, and you can see like, yeah, you are. Like you are favoriting your guys in your teams, because Ernest Jones really did have like good grades as well. But with him, I really see what his impact is. With Terrell Bernard, like I see some of it, but not necessarily helping to cover what he's not really good at, which is actually coverage. So if you ask me, I feel like Dorian Williams would be a better pairing with Matt Milano. Cheap, and they should have let Terrell Bernard go, which was probably never going to be the case with how they talk about him. I mean, I don't think he's a bad linebacker. I don't think he can never become great, even in my eyes. Like, we're still talking about the third rounder. He just played just 3 years with this team, so I do understand why you like him. But when I really look at the Bills games, and more often than not, if I see a problem in the middle of the field, it's caused by Terrell. So with that, I really feel like with Dorian, you could be happy to go with him, but it seems like Terrell Bernard is going to continue with the Bills, and I believe they actually extended him despite not having to. Like, there was still a 4th year of cheap control, yet they've already extended him. So they have a huge amount of trust in him, because they are going to pay him over $10 million. And like we've seen it over and over again with linebackers like really ascending in their 4-year, 5th year, 6th year, etc. So I do trust them, like they know what they are doing. I just don't see it yet. So like for your guys' sake, I hope you are going to be more right on Terrell Bernard that I am with my grades right now. Now let's go towards the secondary, and when I talk about Cole Bishop not really like making it, it's like, well, the competition wasn't really great. Like Cam Lewis, Taylor Rapp, Damar Hamlin, like neither of these guys are guys that really should put an ascending rookie second rounder out of the lineup. So it was much more about Cole Bishop's play. Cam Lewis, Taylor Rapp, and Damar Hamlin, even Kyle Elam, like I don't really have much to say about these guys. Obviously, Damar Hamlin did not play 10,000 snaps. It was just 1,042. It's like they were what I expected them to be. Nothing more, nothing else, nothing less. And that's it. Like I really don't have much to say. Like perhaps Kyle Elam, I was like with limited amount of snaps, I was slightly more impressed than I've expected, but overall, like this is really like cluster safety group that can kind of do what you need on like solid level, and you obviously wanted and hoped that Cole Bishop is going to raise the upside of this group heavily. It didn't happen yet. It might happen in the future. I'm not going to say it. It's not like I hate these guys or anything. I just think they are solid players. They are all kind of replaceable level starters that if they are playing for you, and especially like for example in games of Taylor Rapp, they are damn cheap. Like that's a very very good thing, because Taylor Rapp is kind of like a couple of years. He got 3 years, 11 million. So that's very very cheap contract. Cam Lewis is still on his rookie deal. Damar Hamlin was on his restricted free agent, so undrafted guy. He was on his 4th year option. So like they were cheap. They will continue to be cheap, and it has a reason. Like they are absolutely below average and one of the worst safety groups out there. Yet they are able to deliver solid results. So with that being said, let's shift towards cornerback room, which is much more exciting because you have a superstar in the making and Christian Benford, really his 3rd year, kind of cementing himself as top 10 outside corner in the league. Really, like his 1st year was kind of up and down, much more of a down than up. But his year 2 and 3, he just absolutely shows that he is tremendous player. And what a hit for the Bills in the 6th round. Like, this is, I don't want to say dream come true, but huge what they were able to find. I'm sorry, Taron Johnson and Christian Benford. This is not... this is not Taron Johnson. This is Christian Benford twice. I'm sorry for that. Sometimes it happens. Really sorry, guys. We'll make it better for next season. I really don't know how that happened, because I have clearly right stats for you. In Taron Johnson, he was out for first couple of weeks, and when he returned, I don't feel like he necessarily returned as one of the top 3 slot corners, which that would be probably my ranking of him before the season. Was it due to injuries? Was it like he starts to slow down, which like in theory he shouldn't. He's only 28, but it was his 7th year in the league, so there might be some wear and tear on his body. I really don't necessarily believe that's going to be true. I think he's going to bounce back, so that's why my grade didn't really get too low on him. I think he was still definitely a playable and solid player for them, but a guy to watch. And perhaps like during summer review, really I will probably evaluate whether he should keep his important starter status. In terms of Russell Douglas, this was a huge disappointing year. He's kind of a guy that he's going to give up a ground in terms of coverage, because he is a risk taker. He is not necessarily the stickiest guy, but he's going to repay you with interceptions and like some of his great ball plays. Well, he didn't this year, and you were left with only lackluster coverage, and it showed. It showed on tape. So unfortunately, Russell Douglas, which I think they cut him like midway last season, and it felt like a really, really good trade. It necessarily did not work out for them as they expected. With that being said, let's hand out some rewards. For the draft hit, I went for Keon Coleman. I feel like they knew how they want to build this offense much better than I did. What a surprise. And Keon Coleman feels like a great fit for what they done. I still don't necessarily agree with the whole strategy to not take him 32nd, but take him 33, because I feel like his 50th option could be very valuable. And that could bite you in the ass. In terms of Cole Bishop, is he, like, you can obviously talk about, I think Davonton Jones. I told you guys my names are not necessarily great. Devine Carter, not Daquan Jones. Devine Carter, who was really disappointing, but to me, like, when you look at what his competition was, the fact that he really was just a rotational piece was kind of expected, and he did not deliver on that, so he could have been here. But to me, Cole Bishop is more disappointing in terms of that just the competition was not exceptionally great to not be able to win a starting job. So that's why I ultimately went for Cole Bishop. In terms of flop for the Bills, I have to go for Dawson Knox, who, like, ever since Dalton Kincaid, he just is on this downward trajectory, and it's really kind of hard to watch sometimes, where like you remember that he was better than this. It's not that far ago, and like, is it that he mentally was like, okay, they kind of need me to be 2, so I will just be just a 2, just a guy. I don't know. And he better figure it out, because if he continues to play like that, he's going to get cut next offseason, and I'm not sure there is going to be like a huge line of suitors for him after that. In terms of unsung hero, I went for DeAndre Hopkins, because like he is just steady presence for Josh Allen, protecting his blind side from pretty much the moment he entered the league. And I don't necessarily feel like he gets as much credit as he should, both because when you talk about this offense, it's always Josh Allen, James Cook, it was Stephon Diggs, right? And even if you talk about this online, it could have been Spencer Brown, who had like this great year. So, but he's there every single year, just constant, that you can count on. So that's why DeAndre Hopkins gets some love from me as an unsung hero of this team. In terms of cornerstone, I mean, yeah, like I said, I don't like to be lazy and just picking a QB, but how can you not pick an MVP who brought the team that by a lot of guys should have not even been a playoff team, and brought them within this close of a Super Bowl? So it's Josh Allen. Now let's take a look where this franchise is at overall. So Sean McDermott, I think he's a great coach. I think he's a great culture builder, and I think he gets out of the defense more than there is. But sometimes his decision making as a head coach, like I cannot remember the game where it was, like where they throw a ball 3 times in their end zone pretty much, rather than run the ball and go into overtime. I think it was definitely this year, but I'm not sure against who. And also the fact that his defense, which is what he's ultimately the most responsible for, does not deliver when they need to. So he is a guy that if they let him go, there is 25 teams that will ask for him to be their defensive coordinator. I would say there are even a couple of teams that would ask for him to be their head coach, for sure. but I really cannot put him out there with the top of the league in terms of head coaches. I just don't feel like he is that in my eyes. So for 2024, I give them A minus. For a year that was supposed to be some sort of rebuild, they didn't really actually get too much from their draft, which, you know, like if the team is successful in a year where you don't expect it to, it's probably through the draft. No, it's really about they were absolutely able to stack up their offense exactly as the most efficient as it could be almost. Josh Allen, obviously huge year, and their defense was good enough. Where is the minus? Draft and this close. In terms of QB, again, with top 4 guys, I'm just going for 3 pluses. And like with Josh Allen, after this offseason, a little bit of sneak peek, he took not necessarily the highest amount of money that he could have asked for. So good for him, good for the Bills. In terms of hot seat, I know it sounds weird, like because we are celebrating what Buffalo did. So, and that goes after Sean McDermott. Like, he is doing great job. It's like, I just don't know if he's the man that will put them over the hurdle. And next off season, I think Joe Brady is either gone or a head coach here. And if you ask me whether I want to lose Joe Brady or lose Sean McDermott, at the point where this franchise is, where it's like, I feel like the culture is there, I would go with Joe Brady. I would not want to lose him. So, you know, like the pressure for Sean McDermott to deliver championship is there. And, you know, how can it not be with Josh Allen? And he was not able to get into the Super Bowl. So I feel like his seat is not as cold as it could be or should be for a champion, for a guy that got into the championship game. In terms of finances, low-key, they weren't really good for the Bills. Some of the money has been pushed down the line. There were some bad contracts like Von Miller, like Dawson Knox. Not necessarily a huge amount of cap space, not great rookies. So yeah, there were some good things. Guys like Benford still on a rookie deal, Khalil Shakir, etc. Like, there were some good things. They were not in a dreadful situation, but it was not great either. In terms of strength of this team, it's just run. Like, I think them, Eagles and Ravens are the team that have the most lethal running game in the league. And it was, again, like, it was an absolute pleasure to watch them. In terms of division, when I look at it from the point of Bills, it's 3 pluses for me. I feel like Miami is low-key in a lot of trouble. Like, you know, overpaid Tua in terms of how risky his future is. Overpaid Tyreek compared to like how he leads, quote unquote, this team, and he wants out. Yeah, like, and you know, like in their best, they were around 16 best team. And I don't think like they are necessarily in ascending trajectory. Jets are just a mess. You know, like, I hope Aaron Glenn is going to do a great job there, but what else could you say about the Jets? Like, that's far from certainty. And Patriots, like, okay, they have their future QB, good for them. They don't really have too much else. So they have a lot of cap space. Obviously, they can like really go and do something with that. But like, do you expect Patriots to be anything better than, you know, at best case scenario, like an average team next year? Probably not. So like, if you look at this from Bills, you must be super happy with your division. So with that being said, how the roster could shape up for 2025? Well, I think in terms of O-line, you are pretty set. You have David Edwards on cheap deal. Connor McGovern has 2 more years. Osiris is on a rookie contract, and you've paid Spencer and Dion great money. They are there. Like, I don't really feel like this is a type of O-line that necessarily is going to change something for like a week 1, especially when you consider like how financially kept they were. Definitely with their guards, they are like the weakest point of this team. So they could get along with drafting a guard, not necessarily like going for him in the first round, but second or third round. You know, him, Cedric Van Pran, like backups for the situation in case Osiris Torrance like continues to stagnate, or David Edwards, like you know, unless either becomes too good to resign or just kind of goes back into kind of meh years that he had prior to the Bills signing. In terms of weapons, I think you still continue this duo of tight ends with Kincaid and Knox. James Cook, Ken Coleman, and Kyle Shakir. Again, they are much more in that area that they don't need 4 great wide receivers because they will be in 12 personnel quite a lot. So I think this is kind of why you go for Dawson Knox, though I'm not super happy that Dawson Knox is like the 6th guy here because I don't really see a great player anymore. In terms of backups, it kind of sucks that there was not a place for Ty Johnson, but I definitely have to mention him because, like I said, he could have been instead of Dawson Knox in that first slide or prior slide, but it's not like they necessarily have all the guys, like 2 running backs out there, so it's much more of 2 tight ends. So, just in terms of like how this should actually work, this felt better, but Ty Johnson definitely is part of this picture, though he's not here. Curtis Samuel, I do expect them to probably keep him because he should be like tougher to cut with some of the money they gave him, and it's not like he was dreadful. He could be a useful piece, though I don't necessarily want him as my free tight end. Like I would really like for them to actually go and draft tight end again. Like at worst, you light up fire under the ass of Dawson Knox, and you have really good tight end duo with a great backup, and you want to be in 12 personnel, so it doesn't hurt you that much. And in case of Dawson Knox not really picking it up, well, you have a successor next year. You cut Dawson Knox, you count all your losses, and you go forward. So that's for the offense. Now, in terms of defense, with defensive line, I've predicted them cutting Von Miller. It just always made sense in terms of financials. Greg Rousseau and Oliver, clear pieces. I felt that they would keep Daquan Jones, which I don't actually believe is the case. No, they are still keeping him. Yeah, the kind of solid option for them. In terms of linebackers, with how much they like Terrell Bernard, I do expect him to be a starter. I did, but he probably wouldn't be mine. So if I was necessarily the guy putting up the roster, this would be probably someone I considered more of a backup option. But yeah. In terms of secondary, really the 2 guys that you are certain about is Christian Benford and Taron Johnson. I would say 3rd guy is Taylor Rapp, that given his cheap contract and like solid quality that he provides for you, he probably will be a starter. Who goes to be next to him? Will he go with Cole Bishop? Will Cam Lewis had his opportunity? Yeah, there's actually several questions for this secondary. And in terms of backups, Dorian Williams, Cole Bishop, could obviously be Damar Hamlin here as well. Like there was always they're bringing him back. Like he wants to be here, I guess, and the city is kind of tight with him. In terms of Devin Carter, I still believe there should be a better floor for him, but with Daquan Jones, not necessarily super young. He's 34 or going to be 34. Probably this spot could have been left open for a draft pick because, defensive tackle could be something that they look at, or probably should be something they look at in first 2 rounds. So that was your Bills. Hope I didn't piss off Bills Mafia. Guys, if I did, I'm sorry for that. That was not my intention. And I have to end this on a huge tip of my head, though I don't have him, to you guys after what happened to Mark Andrews with the abuse that he received online, and how you guys took it as a Bills Mafia, as actually the opposition. Huge kudos to you guys. So really very passionate fan base that I have a lot of respect for. So goodbye guys, goodbye to everyone. Hope you have a nice day and see you with the next one. Bye bye.